2:30 left.
Jefferson's got a pretty good arm.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they do decide to throw. He'll give him a chance. On 3rd and 11, he has 2 receivers. They'll run out of the I formation, and he's going to throw. Back to pass. Throws it over the middle. He's got Glass in the end zone. Touchdown, Matt Glass. 18 yards. And the Hawks tack on another one there. Extra point will be coming up here in just a moment.
Man, that was a pretty passing through.
All right, the Colonel's now in control, 17-0 over the Raiders. I'm sorry, over the Wildcats. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah,
that was last 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. Alta Vista over Dan River, and again, I'm a little bit surprised that Dan River hadn't put up more of a fight there. But you know, here comes the kick. We had some movement. They got Rosser in there on the extra point, and he's going to run for 2. If he got there, he did.
Rosser's in for the 2-point conversion.
Rosser's a little sluggish getting up after that. He took a hard fall over there, and that's the chance you take. That's the chance you take when you got your quarterback holding for snaps.
I mean, I can understand, you know, your kicker's used to him holding the ball, but you've got to get you can have somebody else out there holding the ball.
What you do in that situation is, if it's a bad snap, you just take a knee right there.
Yeah.
All right. Coach is upset with. Oh, they're going to call the game here already?
No, we just run off.
I don't know what's going on. I've never seen that. Is he taking his players off the field before the game? How much time is left?
There's another minute left to go here in this game, and he's taking his team off the field.
It would run out, I guess, before they would get another kick. Is that right?
Probably.
Well, let's just say I believe there's some bad blood here between Saunders and the coach from William Campbell, and he's thinking they're running up the score, and I can understand that. But we were giving our second teamers some experience there. So, you know. Anyway, some sour grapes it looks like at the end of this game, but and I don't know what the officials will do. They're going to wait for the clock to come to an end. But again, not the best of endings here, as the game is now called as the clock comes down. I've seen a lot of things, but you know, every once in a while I see something new, and that was something I hadn't seen before.
Strange turn of events, and I really just think that this is, you know, bad blood, and you know, the coach of William Campbell wanting to get his team off the field, just try to not risk injury. And it was a minute to go, and you know, you probably think if they wouldn't have time, they get the kickoff anyways.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you didn't even let your team shake the hand.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I thought both teams had been respectful the whole game, but I think the coach was upset that we threw the ball and then that we ran it in for 2, which it was I think it was a bad snap or something, or it was going to be blocked. Rosser decided to run it, and so he's thinking Hawks are running up the score, and you know, we could have run it up a whole lot, to be honest with you, but we ran the ball mostly tonight. The turnovers killed William Campbell, and so the score ended up being 57 to nothing. And you hate to see that, but that happens sometimes. And I know the coach over there is frustrated with his team, because a whole lot of the problem tonight that led to the big score was all the turnovers. And coach there is Jay Fairs, and certainly it was not a good night for his William Campbell Generals. But again, an odd ending. Let's take a break now. Come back again. Final score: Gretna 57 and William Campbell nothing. We'll take a timeout.
Y'all boys have a good day.
You're listening to Gretna Hawks football on ESPN Radio.
He was probably mad because we passed the ball after touching and scored through the ball.
I think he got mad because it was 2 That's what I think.
I don't think we were going for 2. I think they were going to block it. He just picked it up random.
I think it's more bad. We should put the ball in.
Yeah. Coach Myers, I have the scheme.
I'm gonna go get the snaps for the. I gotta go to
I mean, I'd be ashamed to be all
Hey, Stuart, man. It was nice meeting you.
All right, okay.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. I'll see you around.
All right, man.
Where's your health at tonight, Stuart?
She had to work late. Didn't really know it until the last minute. Welcome back. A game that was over early tonight, I guess we might say, is William Campbell had so many turnovers throughout the game, but in that first quarter they turned the ball over every time they had it, it looked like, and the Hawks scored every time they had it. So it got ugly quick. The Hawks got 28 points in the first quarter, never really looked back and cruised on to a 57-0 win. And the odd thing at the end, we were under the mercy rule, which means the clock runs continuously. After that last score and 2-point conversion, the coach for William Campbell just comes on the field, takes his team to the bus, so they don't get to shake hands. And he has some words with Coach Saunders, and I'm looking out on the field, and I see the principal for Gretna and assistant principal over there on the other side, and I believe Coach Saunders may be over there with them, or one of the coaches. That might not be Coach. It's not Coach Saunders. It's one of the other coaches. And they're kind of wondering what happened. And if you're the coach for William Campbell, you had to be frustrated with the way your players were playing to start with. Yeah. And I think he just thought there at the end, we had our second string quarterback in on 3rd and 11. He throws a touchdown pass. He didn't like that, I don't think. And then we're going for the extra point. It was either a rush coming up in the middle. Rosser decided they weren't going to be able to make it, and probably should have just took a knee. But Rosser instead picked it up, ran around the end, and got 2 points. And I think that was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. And he got upset and left. And I don't know if there's any penalty for that for the coach or not. I've never seen that happen, so I don't know the rules.
Yeah, I've never seen that happen.
But I got to think that the VHSL is not going to be happy with that.
No, I really don't think the VHSL will be happy with that because, you know, the VHSL is all about sportsmanship. And, you know, granted, Gretna did score that touchdown late, but they did have the second string in, and it is William Campbell's job to stop them. It was 3rd down, so you really don't expect them to do much but pass. But you would think that the coach for William Campbell would have his team meet the Gretna players at the midfield. But
I don't know everything that goes on, but and I don't know what was in his mind. But you got to learn to win, you got to learn to lose. And I was always told you shake hands at the end of the game.
Yeah, I've always been told that too. And whether you get beat by 57 or whether you get beat by 1 like we had last week, the teams still shake hands. And, you know, I was really glad about that game last week where you had Alta Vista and Gretna after that hard-fought game shaking hands. But, you know, here tonight after this blowout of a game, William Campbell's coach takes his team off the field with a minute to go and doesn't even allow his team to shake hands with Gretna. But
He shook hands with Saunders.
He shook hands with Saunders.
And I think that was probably just a dig.
Yeah.
You know, I really, and Saunders is not happy about it. I can see that. He's perplexed about the whole situation. And again, I see the athletic director for Gretna out there as well with the principal and other assistant principal for Gretna, and they're discussing it. And I just wonder if there is some kind of penalty the VHSL might levy against the coach from William Campbell for not playing to the end of the game.
Yeah, and you know, if you're William Campbell, you're going to circle the date when you play Gretna next year because of this. But also with all of the players that Gretna is going to be losing with Rosser and Bennett and Glass, I believe both of the Glasses are going to be gone.
Yeah.
So Gretna is going to be a little down on talent, but you know, Gretna, they'll always rebuild. They rebuild. They rebuild.
Yeah.
And
they reload.
They don't rebuild. They reload.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it's been. So hopefully it'll continue.
So yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I don't really know how to think about that completely because I don't know the whole situation. But obviously, there were some times tonight when the coach seemed to be upset about different things, and I thought it was mainly about how his team was playing, and he's got to be upset about that too. Yeah. The turnovers especially. Yeah. Now I can understand, you know, the Hawks running over the players, you know, and just being bigger and more physical, and that's going to happen to a young team like William Campbell's got. But you know, he obviously was upset about the last score and 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and looking at William Campbell's roster, they're young and they're a lot of inexperienced at the varsity level, and you know, they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna take their lumps this year, but you know, they showed that they've got the players in place and they've got some size also on that line, and they got a lot of returning players. They're only losing about 4 or 5 players coming.
Yeah, I'm looking at 5 seniors maybe.
5 seniors, so.
Yeah, so you know, a tough night for the Generals, and you know, the coach decided to do that, and for what reason we might find out in the papers tomorrow. We might not, but anyway, just an odd ending. And again, you know, those things happen. We'll remind you a couple of things before we leave. Seminole Sunoco Food Mart, Highway 29 south of Gretna, a proud sponsor of Gretna Hawks football. They're open tonight late, and they have, of course, Sunoco gas available 24/7, including diesel and non-ethanol gas. Pizza by the slice for $2.69. The whole piece, the whole pie, that is, $8.99. 5 meat, pepperoni, or cheese, or try the hot wings and barbecue. That's Seminole Sunoco Food Mart. Go by in the morning. They've got grab-and-go breakfast biscuits, pastries, coffee, cappuccinos, and smoothies, and much, much more available for you at Seminole Sunoco Food Mart, Highway 29, south of Gretna. I want to remind you, too, also, Jefferson Motors is in the market for vehicles. Their stock is low. They've never been this low in 23 years. They're looking to buy vehicles. Go by this week if you're interested in selling your vehicle. If you've been thinking about it, even if you don't do it, just go by and talk to them and see what they can offer you for your vehicle. They'll offer top dollar. So be sure to check them out at Jefferson Motors this week on Leftwood Street in Gretna. Call them at 656-1298. Well, we're not going to hang around here much. Just give you the. Let's just go with the totals. Do you have the totals for the game? Let's just do with that. And Gretna added 1 score. Was it 1 score or 2 scores in the second half? 2 scores?
2.
Yeah. Rosser to.
It was Rosser to Glass for 40 yards, and then Jefferson on that last play to Glass again. So
couple scores there.
Glass couple scores. So also, you look at the stats. We don't have any for William Campbell. We couldn't get their numbers, but rushing for the Hawks, they had 276 total rushing yards, and 130 of that was by Jeremiah Chambers. Passing, 111 yards, and 93 of that was by Rosser. Chambers, again, 130 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Rosser had 93 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He also had 58 yards rushing. Bennett, he had 19-yard rush, and that was a touchdown. And then he had a 51 yards receiving on two receptions, and he had a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown on the night. So pretty good game for Von Bennett.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Chambers as well. All right, that's going to do it again. Our final score here, I believe, was 57-0, and Gretna winning. We're on the road next week going to Appomattox, and we look forward to seeing you then. Again, 6:30, we'll be on the air. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. It's going to finish us up here, and congratulations to the Gretna Hawks on a big win, and a tough one next week coming up against the Appomattox Raiders, so stay tuned for us next Friday night. Until then, this is Stuart Burnett and Eric Hall bidding you a good weekend and a good week, and we'll be back with you next Friday night. Gretna Hawks football on ESPN Radio.